Sometimes an image can be so powerful, so profound, that it has the power to convey the complexity of an entire political era in a single frame. And that's exactly the reason why our schoolbooks and newspapers are filled with political cartoons. But where do they come from? And how are they linked to 16th and 17th century satire and propaganda? A political cartoon is a comical drawing, sometimes with a caption, freely expressing ideas and often sparking debate. They can be a caricature, mockery of a current event, or simply just a comical situation. We don't need to explain that we live in a very exciting time for political cartoonists. And for these cartoonists, there are a lot of possibilities to get their message across. From the traditional newspapers to Reddit, blogs, and Instagram, political cartoons are everywhere. But let's not forget about today's meme creators, which in a way are doing the same thing as political cartoonists. If you haven't already, check out our episode on memes. We will put a link in the description. Every major political event in modern Western history has been ridiculed by all sides of the political spectrum in the form of cartoons. From the French Revolution, to the rise and fall of Napoleon, both world wars, the tension between the East and the West during the Cold War, and of course, more recent, geopolitical events.
Stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose.
For the biggest part of the 20th century, political cartoons were simple black and white single-panel illustrations, but over time they've become more and more layered. They can be in color, animated,
fake news, fake weather,
or even appear in the form of a complete novel. Like this first ever editorial cartoon Pulitzer Prize winner about two Syrian families who fled the Syrian civil war and came to the US. Comical critique aimed at the establishment in the form of satire has been around since antiquity. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, they all did it. However, political cartoons really kicked off with one of the biggest innovations in the field of mass media: the invention of the printing press in the 15th century. Political cartoons became available for the masses and were also used as a way to influence them. Today, we call this propaganda. In the early days of print, cartoons proved to be a highly effective way to get a message across, as the majority of the public did not know how to read. And by the time of the religious wars that raged through 16th century Europe, they were everywhere. During these wars, the Protestants opposed the ruling Catholic Church, and both sides were quick to adopt cartoons as a way of propaganda. Like this example, where the Protestants linked the Pope directly to Satan. But it wasn't all politics and religion. Ordinary people and their everyday lives were a great subject for the cartoonists as well, ridiculing modern fashion or commenting on the laziness of society. This cartoonist clearly felt that useless pastime should make way for more honest hard work. Or check out this one, where men and women in general were criticized for just randomly picking out their spouses. They are portrayed with a blindfold on as they're picking out a random person to be their partner from a basket of people. Okay, not quite as funny as the memes you tag your BFF in, but still, you get the idea. In the politically fractured Dutch Republic of the 17th century, cartoons became such an important tool to influence popular opinion that they contributed to the brutal death of two of the most prominent statesmen of the time, the De Witt brothers, in 1672. They had a quarrel with the mighty William III of Orange, who was head of the military at the time. Fractions from both parties bombarded the masses with political cartoons, ridiculing the other party, often encouraging violence. On the morning of August the 20th, 1672, pamphlets were hung all over the city of The Hague, calling upon the people to kill the brothers. At the end of the afternoon, an angry mob led by members of the Civil Guard was assembled. The De Witt brothers were lynched. Their bodies were hanged and gutted, and their limbs were sold as souvenirs. Fortunately, political cartoons are also capable of making a tremendous positive impact. One of the most profound political cartoons ever made was Philip Zack's Don't Lose It Again, published on Victory in Europe Day 1945. this image is perhaps one of the best examples of what makes political cartoons so powerful. Somehow, it manages to capture the complexity of an entire era in one single frame. But what do you think? Is this art? Let us know in the comments whether you think political cartoons are art or not, and let us know your suggestions for future episodes of Is This Art?